Alright, folks. I hope that you guys are all doing amazing. I'm doing okay. And that's okay. Um, Not every day is gonna be. Not every day, not every week, not every month, not every couple months. Not everything's gonna be amazing. And that's okay. Um, that being said, I am grateful for another day. I'm grateful to have woken up. I'm grateful to have another session with you guys. Uh, I did make it through another week, and I persevered, per usual. So, and give yourself a pat on the back too. You made it. You're seeing another day, and you're putting your best foot forward. Um, and if nobody told you, I'm proud of you. Last time we left off, we wrapped up our line art and we were able to lay down our base colors. I'm fucking with this. I'm fucking with this a lot. It's pretty chill. It's low key. We fucks with it. Um, Today we're gonna do the shading, which is my personal favorite part. So, with the shading, here's how it works on Procreate. If you are a Procreate user or just someone looking to get into digital art, I'm about to put you on. We'll start with the body. Whenever you're doing shading, you want to start a new layer. If you're on Procreate, you want to click combine down, so that way it'll make it into its own separate thing. And then in this empty layer, you want to click clipping mask. This is essentially going to attach the layer to the base colors. So that way we're not coloring over anything else. It's just going to attach itself to the color of the body. Because if I unclip it, I'll still be able to color over. Well, I won't be able to color over everything else. However, you see how it's going outside of the body? But when I click clipping mask, it stays within the body. Okay? Let's clear this layer real quick. We are going to do the body. Now, under normal circumstances, I would normally just stick with the syrup brush. However, because this is a flower's body and I want specific detail, I think I might use the flat painting brush. We're gonna start with the shading. We're gonna click on this N over here. These are our layer settings. So as you can see, there's a ton right here, and I know that might be kind of scary, but if you want to play with these settings on any digital software, you could do that on your own. However, whenever you're shading, you generally want to come up to multiply. That's what most artists do. And most artists do it this way. This isn't exactly my process, but what they do first is they like to lay down their base shadows and lighting. They pick a dark color like gray or dark gray. I'll pick a standard gray. What they like to do is they will, like I said, lay down their base shadowing, so that way they know where the light's coming from, they know where the shadows are coming from. So they just go in with it. Just so that way they could get an idea for how everything's gonna be during most of the drawing. Which, it's not a bad practice, right? It's actually very helpful and it helps the shading process. It's just for me personally, I like to just go in and just get the intricate shading done before I get the lighting shading done. But with that being said, this is the process that most digital artists do. And I mean, for the sake of tutorialism, I guess we could do it this way today. Tutorialism, is that a word? Now, like I said before, I kind of want the light to come from the right side. I want the light to come from this area, so my shadows are going to be on the opposite side. I'm going to clean everything up when I'm done, trust. While I'm working on this, we could talk about some Juicy World topics. Christy Scott, I think her name is, and Desmond Scott filing for divorce. That shit. Okay, so my general rule of thumb is to not like idolize these influencers, because I found out early on that like a lot of this shit is staged, but also a lot of them be like unfaithful. However, I drew a lot of inspiration from this couple, right? When I saw them, they were the goal, you know? But just a reminder that everybody's human. That is unfortunate though, and I'm not gonna lie. Desmond just kind of set men back like 300 years. The DTN movement is not diminishing anytime soon now. I just don't know how you could do that to somebody, and I don't want to know either. Like being unfaithful after being together for so long and having kids and being married. You literally have the life and you're with your person. That's some fucked up shit. And it wasn't like one of those things where like social media pages just post shit to post it. No, I literally saw a video yesterday. TMZ caught his ass in 4K after she filed for divorce. So apparently this infidelity thing is a more than one time thing, which is so wild to me. Alright, so we got the base layering of shadow down. Now we just want to lay down a bit more. Actually, no, we're going to do the lighting. And then we'll come back and we'll add the intricate details. So for the lighting, if we came up here is the dark layers, right? If you want something to be dark, or if you want the color to pop more in a dark way, you would come up here to like darker color, linear burn, color burn, shade, darken, or multiply. If you want it to be lighter, you would come down here to lighten, screen, color dodge, add, lighter color, overlay, soft light, vivid light, and linear light. Me personally, I like to do add. I know that's a bit... So out of all these, I feel like add might be like the strongest. We're gonna play around with it. Definitely gonna play around with it. we're gonna start with add though. And we're just gonna come in and same thing that we did with multiply, we are going to do with add. We're gonna add the light where we want it to be. Wait, I kind of like that right there. Hell yeah. Yeah, man, we're in crazy times. I actually didn't even go to sleep until 2 in the morning. I genuinely could not sleep because I'm watching this shit going on in the world, man. And watching history repeat itself, it's terrifying, but at the same time, it's making me numb. Like, that's one common trope I've observed with life and learning history. It's history repeating itself. And I was praying about it, and I talked with God. I'm like, God, for hundreds and thousands of years, you've given us humans free will. I wonder, like, what it's like for him to watch this. Is it like reality, like a reality TV show? Like, what are these niggas gonna do next? Do you have a neutral standpoint? Do you have a disappointed standpoint as our father? Like, I just wonder what that thought process is like for him. But then again, I'm trying to understand a divine thought process, so I need to chill. Because if I try to wrap my brain around that, probably gonna fail. Not even probably, I'm going to fail. So I'm noticing, if you look closely, there's these white pixels. That shows me that I didn't fully color this in all the way. And that happens, especially when you're using the drag and drop tool. So when I'm done adding this lighting, we are going to come back to that. Alright. Gonna add a bit more lighting there. So as you can see, this is what I was talking about when it comes to add. Add can be a lot stronger than other settings, and I'm gonna show you that right here. Hold on. See, lighter color, not what I was shooting for, but in a certain background that would look fire. Overlay. See, a bit lighter, not as harsh. Soft light. Same thing. Lighter, not as harsh. And honestly, I might stick with soft light. I kind of like hard light too. It's like right in the middle. We'll see how I feel about that. Vivid light, kind of similar to add. Linear light. Hard mix. I think I was fucking with soft light. But I like... what if I... So I'm gonna teach y'all a trick. Gaussian blur. Turn that up a little bit. Yes. Turn it down a little bit. I like it. Kind of gives it that glimmer a little bit, not too harsh. Alright, let me go back to the base layer and clean that shit up. Because I do not like these pixels that have no color. Hey, low key, Flower Boy kind of looking like a Demogorgon. How did y'all feel about Stranger Things? I thought the ending was kind of buns. I know when I watched it with my girl, it was pretty hype, but that's also because we'd been waiting mad long for it. And at the time, all things considered, it felt like a valid ending, but after like meditating on it and actually like thinking about it, that shit was kind of ass and it felt kind of rushed. I'm gonna be honest. Alright, so as you guys can see, we have the lighting down for the body. Now we're gonna get into more thorough shading. And for that, I'm going to use the flat brush. I like to use the flat brush for this. We're gonna test this out, and if it doesn't work, then we'll stick with the base color. So whenever I shade, I love to use the harmonious color because it adds a really interesting level of shade. I don't know if you guys could see that because I had the opacity turned down a bit, but you see that right there? I love when I get like this type of color for the shade. But like I said, we're gonna see how it looks because I already started a shadow with the yeah, since I started a shadow with the base color, it doesn't look right. And I probably should have did the shadow. I mean, in theory, I could do it now. Hold on. Select. Alright, let's see how that looks. Yeah, no, we'll stick with the original. Alright, so it's looking like we're gonna do the more intricate details with the base color. However, we're gonna make it a bit darker. I am gonna turn this opacity down a bit more. But yeah, man, Stranger Things season 5 ending, I felt was rushed. I felt left a lot more questions than clarity. Yeah. Um, there's so much we could talk about. First off, Vecna. This nigga was hyped up to be this even stronger villain just to get put in the fucking literal ground by a weakened 11 with the help of 5 or 6 teenagers. And I'm not finna play with Walk 'Em Down Wheeler, right? I'm not finna play with her top at all, because she is indeed that bitch. But what I am saying is, I'm gonna start a separate layer for this new level of shade, so that way I don't mess up the shadow. Because that is something that I've encountered in my journey. But okay, Vecna, I'm glad we found out why all this happened, right? It was the Mind Flayer from the jump. It's been the Mind Flayer. But here's my thing. You're building up the Mind Flayer to be this incredibly strong ass character. Stronger than Vecna. The reason for the entirety of Stranger Things has to do with the Mind Flayer. And then on the last episode, you do nothing with him. No strong ass final boss, no epic ass boss fight. Like season 4, that felt climactic. You had the fucking Demobats, you have Demogorgons, you have Vecna himself. That felt climactic. It had climactic shit happening. You had Eddie trying to fight the Demobats, losing his life. Like, nigga, I wanted to see niggas die. I'm sorry. I wanted to see niggas dead, bro. And not even to like sound negative, but like that for me, it tells me more, you know? It feels like more. And even if you don't want to kill off all the characters, that's fine. But put more climax, goddammit. Let's talk about nah, fuck that. Back to the Mind Flayer. And Dimension X as a whole. You mean to tell me that there were no Demogorgons, no Demodogs, no Demobats? The Mind Flayer is the strongest character out of this whole shit. Every demon that we've seen so far in the show, we did not see once in that finale. And mind you, leading up, like throughout season 5, we've seen Demogorgons just fucking tear portals to reality. If I'm being honest, I thought that Will would have a bigger role than what he had, and I'm not gonna play too much with Will because I'm actually glad for his development in season 5. That being said, like in my brain, I thought that Vecna was actually going to possess Will. It was just like made throughout the entire season to feel like I thought that this entire time Vecna was intentionally letting Will tap into his mind so that way he could use Will to get to them. Same way he's using the kids. Like, I thought Will would be his strongest vessel. I don't like the ending too much either. Like, it felt like a proper goodbye, I will say. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like it didn't get me emotional. It most definitely did, especially when Hopper proposed. That shit literally had my girl crying and it had me emotional as fuck. With that being said, the story that Mike told about 11 possibly being alive, obviously we know that's phooey, because if 11 was alive, Mike would not have... If 11 was alive, one, we'd have another season. That's just a fact, because if 11 was alive and Mike knew about it, that nigga would not stop until he would have found her ass. We all know this. But also, you mean to tell me that let's entertain the thought that 11 was alive. That would mean that Kali would have survived being shot long enough for them to take out the guards, for them to blow up the helicopter, for 11 and Hopper to have that long ass speech, that dialogue, for 11 to jump into Dimension X, for them to fight Vecna and the Mind Flayer, for them to defeat Vecna and the Mind Flayer, for Joyce to fucking cut off Vecna's head, for them to get out of Dimension X, for them to get back to the Upside Down, for them to pack everybody up and set up the bomb, for them to drive out of the Upside Down, and she had to survive the bomb itself in the Upside Down. Eleven's dead, bro, and y'all need to cope. There's no episode 9. It's done. And in my opinion, it was done very poorly, I will say. Season 5 it felt great to me. My only complaints are inconsistencies and questions, like having more questions with that ending, and it's supposed to be a finale. One thing that I noticed is 11's decrease in strength, especially when watching season 4, which I don't know about for y'all, but was a long ass fucking season for me. That was probably the longest season I had to watch out of all of Stranger Things. Long ass season full of character development, training Elle to get her powers back and be as strong as she was when she sent Vecna originally to Dimension X. Just for her to barely be able to lift a metal cover. She went from flipping trucks with ease to struggling to lift trucks. And I get that, like, she was stronger in the mind, because she was able to dream hop with ease. But that being said, like, her physical telepathy, like, the entirety of season 4 was her reliving that trauma in that facility with Papa. And it felt like it didn't matter because, again, she felt weak as fuck in season 5. Am I missing anything? No, we're good. Okay. Alright. It's looking pretty good so far. I'm gonna turn all these off. Then I'm gonna turn the clipping mask off this so that way I could get that color back. If you ever want to figure out which color you did for your shading, you're going to do what I just did. You're going to turn off all the layers, and then you're going to go to that layer and you're going to turn off the clipping mask, so that way you can get the original color that you used to shade. Yeah, that's my gripes with season 5. Um, what the fuck? That's my gripes with season 5. Um, Overall, I really thought that it was an immaculate season. Actually, like, there's a lot of highlights that I loved from that season. Derek is funny as fuck. Um, Henry is an amazing villain, and learning about his story was actually so well told. It was well told with minimal detail. Like, it all made sense, because for me, I was wondering, okay, what made Henry this way? Like, how did he get these powers? Was he just a kid with a god complex and he somehow like, for me initially the whole spider thing wasn't adding up. But then we got to that scene with Max in the cave. So with that scene with Max in the cave, it made us all wonder, what about this cave is traumatizing him to the point where he doesn't want to relive it. And I gotta say, that was such an excellent way of telling that story, because at the end of the day, he really was just a kid being possessed by the Mind Flayer. But again, here's where my critique comes. You're establishing that the Mind Flayer had control in all of this, right? And I knew after finishing season 3 that the Mind Flayer was going to return, because they didn't kill the Mind Flayer, they just closed the gate. So for you to build up this big bad and then not do shit with him, that's what I can't get with. Overall, W show. If you're into fantasy and D&D, definitely check out Stranger Things. I'm not gonna lie, the show made me want to learn D&D. I have family members, friends that play D&D. And I feel like if I played that shit with my homies, bro, D&D would actually be popping. And I actually saw a post yesterday that says black people should play D&D. I feel like we would have a good time playing D&D, because a lot of it is really just your imagination. I won't lie, after I finished Stranger Things, I was in kind of a drought, because I was like, fuck, now what am I going to watch? I wound up going back and watching season 2, I believe. And it definitely made more sense towards what I see in season 5. So for context, I skipped season 2. Because for me, season 2 was actually why I stopped watching Stranger Things initially. I got through season 1. Season 1 was cool. I tried season 2 and I got turned off immediately. Now, to be fair, I was also watching Riverdale at the time, when Riverdale was good. And yeah, I just was not interested in Stranger Things at the time. So watching season 2, which was kind of hard to get through, turned me off. That being said, going back and watching it, I see what I missed out on. I still personally feel like I didn't miss out on too much. But it definitely explains a lot when going into season 5. All right. All the flower petals are now thoroughly shaded. I definitely will be going back in for some lighting. Right now we're gonna do the head and the stems. So for the head, like I said, we already had the base shadows, so we're just gonna go and add shadows in the areas that he needs shadows in. So for example, I'm gonna add a shadow right here on the outside. God damn. So for this part, I will be using the Sierra brush. Much easier than the oh my god, I'm on the base layer still. Okay, we're gonna come back to the shade layer. Cool. Alright. Yeah. Just gonna add the shadows where it's needed. Usually like to add them on areas that are like kind of crevicey, so like around the anxiety lines. Let's see how this looks like adding it underneath the mouth. Yeah, I'm fucking with that. I need to go back and fix this real quick. Common issue. The drag and drop may not get everything, and that's okay. Same thing with the neck right here. It's important that everything's filled in though regardless, because when you're shading, you will see that shit. Yep, see? Drag and drop. Let's fill that up. Yep. Same thing here. That's the only downside of hatching in my opinion. Because when you're trying to make sure everything's filled with color, sometimes it'll ignore those white spots. Alright, back to the shading layer. Okay. Sorry, I try to make sure I'm not shading on the base layer because that shit can happen as well. Clean you up a little bit. I feel like that's a common theme with shows. They have a peak show and they just fumble the ending. Because that's what I heard happen with Game of Thrones. And man, it's definitely happened to a lot more shows. I just can't think about it off the top of my head right now. They either have shitty rushed endings or they just eventually fall off at some point. Because that's what happened with Walking Dead. Like for me, after season 7 is when I really started to get turned off with it. I still watched it because I'm like, alright, I stuck around this long, but like, damn. You know? Alright. I'm not going to add too much more shading to the face. I don't really feel like it needs it. I will, however, add this shadow right here to the neck. Where the hatching lines are, to the best of my ability. Yeah, and add those shadow lines right there. Oh yeah. Same thing with the arms. Not too much shading needed there. Same thing with the other arm. So with the neck, arm, and with the neck and the arms, we're going to use a tool called the blending tool. The blending tool is this finger right here that I'm toggling on. With the blend tool, I'm just going to show you instead of yapping about it. Okay, that's way too big. Get a bit smaller. It's literally what it sounds like. It just blends. My advice for you, if you're using the blend tool, turn the opacity down lower than what I have it on. I have a desired look, and this is doing it for me right now. But most people, when they use this tool, they have the opacity way lower. Get a much smoother blend that way. I intentionally want it to look like this. Because like I said, everybody's art is different. Cool. Skin is done. Well, actually, I gotta go back in and add some highlights. Yeah, I'll add a new layer for this one too, if I can. Clipping mask. For this one, I will do add. Alright, pink. So for this one, we're gonna go to airbrush, soft brush, turn that opacity all the way down, and make the brush kind of big. Turn it down a bit more. And we are just gonna add some highlights. Cool. Might add a bit to the face. Add a bit to the neck. Cool. This character is popping already. Alright. We're going to title this Body. And with that, we are done with the body layer. Time to get on to the clothes. So this one shouldn't be too hard. Matter of fact, I'm going to My goal is to have way less layers. And this is also why I like to do my shading much different than what we did with the body, because I like to use minimal layers. So for the body, we did what digital artists do. And I won't lie, I will say that the shading came out probably the most crispiest I've ever done it. That being said, process wise, I like to just go in and do the raw shading first. So we're going to do that. For this time, I'm actually going to do my method of using the harmony color for the shading. Make sure that's on multiply, we're good. Always hit combine down, so that way it puts it into its own little box. It's how you stay neat and organized and don't get lost in the layers. Alright, I said that I want the light to come from this side. For the shirt, I will be using the zero brush. Where did I want the light to come from? From this side? Well, I mean, in theory, the shirt is in front. Okay, we'll do it like this. We'll eyeball it. We are gonna make this a bit darker. No, that's not what I want. Make that a bit darker. Click harmony. Boom. Alright, we're gonna eyeball this and see how I like it. Cause yeah, we'll see how I like it. Boom, 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 boom. I'm fucking up right now. Okay. Okay. I'm fucking with this. Can I get this same result over here? Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom. Okay, we're getting somewhere. We're doing. Alright. Okay, don't do that. Okay. Now we're gonna us. Hey. See, I'm fucking with this already. Do not be afraid to use your tools, man. Alright, now we're just gonna do some cleanup. Looks like I have to do the same thing that I did with the base layer of the body, because apparently the drag and drop tool did not do its fucking job. Sorry. Okay. Gonna erase the, oh my god, I'm still on the base layer. Gonna erase the tie bit here. Alright, back to cleanup. What the fuck am I doing? Why is it? Oh my god. Okay. Unclip. Turn off. Come here. Oh my gosh. Is it still? Brother. I hate when that shit happens. Alright. Oh god. Okay. Yes, this is the not so fun part of cleaning up shit. Alright. Yes, welcome to my process, and probably most other digital artists. It's even worse when you see a little speck of color and you can't find the layer that it's on. Oh my god. And I know there's a setting for that shit. But But usually by that point, I'm so exhausted that I don't even care anymore. Okay. Sorry, I entered that flow state. I might put that shadow back right there. Okay. Time to add shadows in all the crevices. And then you guys are gonna see what I'm gonna do here once I'm done. Go with the shirt at least. Bro, I'm in that flow state right now. Alright. On an entirely separate layer, I'm gonna set it to multiply. We're gonna grab our airbrush and we're going to set the opacity real low. And the same thing we do with the highlights, actually I'm gonna raise that a bit. Same thing we do with the highlights, we're gonna kind of do here, except we're doing it with shadows. And then we're just gonna make it a bit darker. Turn that opacity real low. Same thing. Oop. Forgot to hit clipping mask. Cool. Cool. And honestly, we might not even need to do a lighting thing. I'm still gonna do it anyway for that additional detail, but we have natural lighting. For this one, again, I'm gonna run it back to the syrup brush. I'm just gonna pick white or a light blue, and it's already on add. And this time I want it to be harsh because I want it to pop in those areas that I needed to. Okay. Now we're gonna take our blend brush and, well, this time we're gonna turn the opacity down. We're gonna make it small and turn that up a little bit. Turn that up a little bit more. Okay, we might have to turn that up a lot more. Yeah, we also might have to erase. I'm gonna turn the opacity down on the eraser. You know what? We don't need the additional lighting. I think the natural light will do. That being said, we will add some damn! We will add some highlights. Okay, I need to make that way more blue. And change it from add to perhaps, well, let me play around with it. Hold on. Cool. Sure, it's Dunzo. Now we gotta go back and do the pants. I might go back to the shirt later on and add like even more smaller shadows, but for now, this is what we got. Alright, back to the tie. I'm gonna use the tool here. Oh, yeah, no. Fuck. I hate when that shit happens. Alright, fuck it. We're just gonna color it in manually then. J. Cole is dropping The Fall Off on February 2nd. I was just talking to my girl about this topic because she was watching the first video I uploaded. And we were on the topic of Cole and Kendrick. Now, I've had this talk and friendly debate with almost everyone in my life. From the moment I was a teen up until now. Now, I want to preface that obviously I naturally have a stronger bond with Kendrick because I just naturally listened to Kendrick more growing up. But that was no excuse as an adult. I was like, okay, all his music is out there for me to listen to. So I want to say around senior year of high school is when I started listening to Cole more. Obviously, I grew up on Born Sinners. I grew up on 2014 Forest Hills Drive. But outside of those two albums, I really didn't listen to all his other shit. And that's where I'm hearing that most of his peak is coming from. So I went back, I listened to all his other shit. And then I listened to his new shit. I listened to For Your Eyes Only. I listened to KOD, I listened to the off season, and I've been following Cole pretty closely since. For Your Eyes Only is my favorite Cole album. That album made me cry, and it helped me get through some really rough times in my life. Kendrick and Cole, who do I think is better? Overall, in terms of artistry, I feel like Kendrick is and will forever be the better artist. No glaze, here's why. And I told my girlfriend this too. I was like, I'm looking at everything, right? Not just rap, not just hits. I'm looking at artistry. I'm looking at lyricism. I'm looking at performance. I'm looking at numbers. And I definitely think Kendrick has him beat. So my girl said that they're this close in terms of skill. And I feel like that's a fair assessment. I'm not saying she's wrong for that. What I am saying is that I personally feel like this is their gap. Oh, hold on. This is their gap. It was up here. However, with that most recent shit he just dropped, rapping his story in reverse and then having the music video in reverse, I thought that was genius. So very slowly they're narrowing the gap. And I mean very slowly, like a fucking snail. I'm not gonna do crazy shading on the pants or on the tie, but yes, I think that that's the gap between them. And I gave her a challenge. I was like, we're gonna go album for album, and I want you to think about these albums and which ones have more skips and which one can you listen start to finish. To which we both agreed that Cole does unfortunately have more skips. Now that being said, she brought up a fair point as well. She was like, every album has like, when you give it that first listen, you're not like, when you listen to it that first time, it's like, okay, this slaps, but it's not for me, which is fair, because I'm not gonna lie, for me, when I first heard To Pimp a Butterfly, that was more than half the album. But that's because I wasn't emotionally mature enough at the time to really hear what this nigga was saying. I was also caught in the loop that most people are in right now, just looking for bops or something to vibe to. But when I actually like sat down and like actually tried to digest what this nigga was talking about, I was like, this nigga's spitting real shit right now. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't until I was older that I could fully fathom albums like Good Kid, Mad City, and Damn. Like, I didn't realize as a kid that like I knew it followed a storyline, but I did not know like how much of a movie Good Kid, Mad City really was until I got older. And I didn't realize how much of a movie and masterclass that Damn was until I got older. I'm just gonna do the Darker Shadows now. Yeah, I'm just gonna do the Darker Shadows now. So, who do I think is better? Kendrick or Cole? I will not lie. Jermaine Dupri Cole has been in his fucking bag for the last couple years. Like, the Cole I've been seeing in the 2020s up till now is peak fucking J. Cole. He is out rapping 90% of all your favorite rappers. I say that with the utmost confidence. I'm not finna play with Jermaine's top. Like, that nigga is not him. Jermaine is indeed him, and then some. Cause I won't lie, like, before, I wouldn't say that I was sleeping on Cole, but I kind of was sleeping on Cole because for me at the time, his sound sounded repetitive. But I would say around 2014, when did Forest Hills Drive come out? Hold on. I don't have my phone on. But whenever Forest Hills Drive, or not Forest Hills Drive, For Your Eyes Only. Whenever For Your Eyes Only came out is when I feel like Cole really started to like get in his bag. That's when I really started to get him like more in tune with Cole. Yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing I did with this shirt, just like airbrush the highlights. I definitely feel like I listened to Cole more in my teenage years also because that's when I started smoking weed. And I don't know, his songs were just like perfect to get stoned to. I'm not fucking with that at all. Maybe I need to lower opacity. Yeah, that'll do. But yeah, like his music for me during that time, even when I wasn't smoking, like even when I was just drawing or studying, like his music would hit for me. Like High for Hours. Nigga, I used to be on the game with the homies just freestyling and that shit. Here's where the difference lies. What Cole is doing now, I feel, is what Kendrick has been doing for years. And to further back up my statement, I don't want to bring up the beef because I feel like that's a low blow, but at the same time, it's not. Because you really got to think about the shit that Cole was saying in his diss before he redacted it. He said, your first shit was classic, your last shit was tragic. Your second shit put niggas to sleep, but they gassed it. We really got to break that shit down. If we're going in chronological order, your first shit was magic. Wait, what the fuck this nigga say? Now I gotta look up the fucking lyrics. He said, yo, first shit was classic, yo, last shit was tragic, yo, second shit put niggas to sleep but they gassed it, yo, third shit was massive and that was your prime. I was trailing right behind and I just now hit mine. I gotta pull up all of Kendrick's albums. Alright, we're going based off albums, I'm assuming that's what he's talking about. Kendrick Lamar's first album was Section 80. I'm not counting mixtapes, I'm not counting EPs, because Overly Dedicated and Kendrick Lamar, or the Kendrick Lamar EP, those are EPs, I'm not counting that. Is Overly Dedicated an album or EP? Okay, so this is out. Hold on. No, it's an EP. Okay. So then, yes, technically speaking, at the time that Cole made this, the only albums that Kendrick had out were Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, T-Pab, Damn, and Mr. Morale. So he said your first shit was classic, Section 80. See, I don't know what's going through Cole's thought process, because I'm not saying the Section 80 is not a classic, but I feel like in that line he was referencing Good Kid, Mad City. But I'm gonna indulge Cole here. I'm gonna say he forgot about Section 80. He said your first shit was classic, your last shit was tragic. Now that could be interpreted a lot of ways, because Kendrick did talk a lot. He talked about a lot of vulnerable shit on there. But if we're talking numbers, Jermaine. While I do admit that Mr. Morale was not Kendrick Lamar's highest selling album, the tour that followed that album was higher than most numbers that Jermaine puts out. He said, your second shit put niggas to sleep, but they gassed it. Again, if we're ignoring Section 80, he's talking about To Pimp a Butterfly. And let's be real here. Nobody fell asleep listening to T-Pab. Alright, I'm not gonna sit here and act like niggas didn't fall asleep listening to T-Pab. It's not for everybody. But that is such a wild statement for one of Kendrick, in my opinion, one of his best albums. And dare I say, one of the greatest albums of all time. That's my opinion. I think T-Pab is fucking wonderful. Your third shit was massive, and that was your prime. I was trailing right behind, and I just now hit mine. If we're ignoring Section 80, he's talking about Damn now. Your third shit was massive, and that was your prime. I was trailing right behind, and I just now hit mine. Now, when did KOD come out? This came out on April 20th of 2018. When did Damn come out? April 14th of 2017. So basically a year apart. I want to say this right now. Unbiased, not as a Kendrick lazy. I think that most J. Cole fans, myself included, this album was mid. No dick ride, no hating. This album was mid. This was not J. Cole's best by any means. There were a few songs on here that I fucked with, like ATM and Kevin's Heart and 1980. That is it. Other than that, I don't remember much from this album. However, I do remember a lot of fans not really liking this album. So to say I was trailing right behind and I just now hit mine, mind you, 7 Minute Drill came out in 2024. Damn came out in 2017. So that's further proving my theory that like Kendrick has been doing what Cole is aspiring to do now. And like I said, I don't want this to feel like a low blow for bringing up the diss war and him bowing out of it. Because him bowing out of it, I respect that, right? Because that's really his friend at the end of the day. And he already knew in his mind where this shit was gonna go. Like, it was much bigger than just rap beef. Like, nah, like, Kendrick needed to settle this shit with Drake. And unfortunately, J. Cole is just a side character. I'm glad that he bowed out, and I'm glad that he was so graceful with it. A lot of people was frying him. And I do agree, like, if you enter a rap battle, stand on that shit. But, same time, again, this is a bond with a brother. And you playing with that nigga's top right now. So, for him to bow out of that, definitely just further proved my theory, like, Kendrick's just 1-on-1. I'm sorry. So yeah, no glaze. I love Cole. I definitely still listen to Cole all the time. Do I think he's better than Kendrick Lamar Duckworth? No. And it's so funny how my point of view of music changes as the years go on, because I went through a Logic phase. And I'm not saying that Logic is a bad artist, but I went through a phase where I thought this nigga was actually up there with Kendrick and Cole. What the fuck was I thinking? And again, I'm not undermining Logic, right? Under Pressure, fucking peak to this day, actually. To this day. That's the one Logic song I have in my rotation to this day. That and all the Frank Sinatra mixes, I do fuck with those. Like old Logic. I would say old Logic is a vibe. New Logic, I don't know what the fuck going on. I feel like my issue with Logic is that Logic was recycling a lot of his shit, you know? Like, same flows, same approach, same biracial shit. Like, at some point, you gotta switch it up. I do feel like both the Cole and Kendrick influence was also there. Because a lot of his songs, he has similar drum patterns, similar concepts. I don't know, I feel like at some point, he felt that burnout almost. I don't know, that's my thoughts on it. Alright, so now we're gonna draw the name tag. Let me fill in this damn shirt more. Alright, name tag time. I'm gonna title this shirt. Lucky for us, the name tag doesn't have to be too crazy. I do want it to feel metallic, so what we'll do is and we're just gonna make that darker. And darker. One thing that I love about maturity and age is being able to recognize when things trigger me. So I know that was a really random shift, but bear with me. Recently I started watching or rewatching Boys in the Hood, right? I love going back and watching the Hood classics. And I'm watching it, and I'm getting triggered by a lot. Not triggered, but like, one of the things triggered me, but like everything else, I'm just observing common things that are common in black families that should not be. And then I'm also getting reminded of my childhood and the good things in a black family's childhood, like chores. That first scene with the when Trey's cleaning up the bathroom and he gets a look at that tub. We gotta talk about this shit. Cause some of this shit y'all had us cleaning and cleaning to this day is outrageous. We gotta talk about it. Cause that tub looked fucking filthy. I get that he's teaching his son responsibility, and regardless of how shit looks, you gotta take care of your shit. But come on, that's a little bit. We all gotta admit that tub was trifling as fuck. That tub was trifling as hell. That tub was filthy. There's black spots all over that tub. Your son hasn't been with you in weeks, and you gonna make him clean up your black ass tub. And it reminded me of when I was a kid, right? Because I was in like 5th, 6th grade cleaning kitchens, bro. Cleaning bathrooms. And I'm grateful for it, right? Because I learned very early on like how to take care of shit. At the same time, when you cleaning up a house after a house full of niggas, bro, dishes filled with food, nobody want to scrape it out. Dishes that just sit in the sink and they let that shit build up so it's harder to scrub out. And you gotta hand wash all that shit. That shit is terrible. When I become a parent, I'm not going, my kids gonna clean shit, trust. They gonna know how to clean shit, we gonna clean shit together. But will I put my kids through that shit? I can't do it, bro. But back to what I was saying. The specific thing that triggered me was the character Doughboy and the favoritism with his brother Ricky. Because a lot of Doughboy's personality and a lot of his choices, the way he talks to people, it's a result of the way that he was raised. And it triggered me because that's a common thing that I've observed within my own family. Favoritism. Not getting too personal and getting back on topic. Let's analyze Doughboy for a second. So for context, if you've never seen Boys in the Hood, Doughboy is he's a friend to the main character Trey. And his brother Ricky is best friends to the main character Trey. Doughboy and Ricky have 2 different dads. And because of this fact, Doughboy's mom treats Doughboy like less. Like, hold on, bro. Y'all gotta see this shit. Actually, I'm not finna pull it up. But there's a scene where, as a kid, mind you, Doughboy's mom is literally telling Doughboy, "You ain't shit. You ain't never gonna be shit. You're gonna be just like your daddy, essentially." And again, that triggered me because not even just within my family, but like in friends' families and other people's families, that's something that I've observed. Mistreatment of your child because of different fathers, or even if they have the same father, that favoritism, right? That favoritism in specific children and the mistreatment of other children, especially the older children, your first fucking borns. And it triggers me so much because, again, a lot of Doughboy's character, a lot of his choices are a result of the way that he was raised. You spent your life degrading him. You spent your life telling him he wouldn't be shit, and he wound up not being shit. He was a thief. He went to jail. He came out. He was banging. He was slinging. The way that he treated women like they weren't shit. He called them bitches. He was macking all the time. He was calling them hoes. No basic decorum. Average street nigga life. But that's what happens. Dad ain't present. Mom treating him like shit because of dad. But then also, again, there's that clear favoritism because she would treat Doughboy like shit. Treat his homies like shit. And granted, they were freeloaders. But that basic respect, that love for your child, and then the favoritism with Ricky. Ricky got a baby mama in the crib. Ricky got a little nigga running around. Still in high school. No hate. Doughboy, your friends gotta leave. Get the fuck out. Ricky got somebody coming through. Now granted, again, I feel like that specific thing is such an interesting gray area because I'm not gonna lie. Mom being upset at Doughboy bringing his gangbanging homies in the crib and they're all slouching on the couch drinking 40s, not doing shit. That's a valid crash out, right? Especially when they sitting on the porch claiming it as the set. That's disrespectful as fuck. But same time, like, you're belittling your child. And I think about the fight that Ricky and Doughboy had. Now granted, that was Doughboy that initiated that, and Doughboy was wrong. Same time, I feel like Ricky was wrong in the way that he asked Doughboy to do that shit. I think that shit was crazy. And the mom is wrong in all of this. Because instead of breaking up her sons fighting and yelling at both of them, you're slapping Doughboy and not lecturing Ricky. You're babying Ricky. I'm sorry for that little side tangent. My point is, in watching the mistreatment of Doughboy, and watching where his character ends up, that shit broke my heart. Because it's so common. And even in the cases where it's not like Doughboys, where they don't wind up walking the path that they're... Like, there's two different paths you could take in that kind of scenario. You either wind up becoming what they think of you, or you wind up rising above it. But in both instances, it's causing a rift. A rift in the bond with the people you look up to, the people you're close to. It causes envy, it causes jealousy. And the only way we heal from that shit is by, one, being the complete opposite of what they think that we are, but not because of them, for us. And then also not getting upset at the people we're being compared to. Because at the end of the day, one, they don't want that shit either. But also, you should want to see them eat regardless. Alright, we are almost done with this, actually. I'm gonna put a little twinkle on his badge here. So we're gonna come above the line art layer because we want this twinkle to be above the line art. We're gonna go to luminance and click flare and make it small. And I'm just gonna, okay, that needs to be lighter and bigger. Dink. Perfect. I'm gonna put one more. Not on the B. Nice. Now for the flowers. So, for the flowers, I'm really not gonna do nothing crazy. I'm gonna do very minimal shading on the flowers, I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna put this to gray. So for the flowers, I'm gonna do the first method. Adding the shadows, then adding the light. And then I'm going to go back in separate layers and add more intricate details. I'm going to add soft light. There we go. Gonna turn on some Gaussian blur. Not too crazy. Cool. Alright, now we're gonna go in and we're gonna add all the intricate details and stuff. This time I think I'll do that in the same layer. Actually, no, different layer. What the helly? Clipping a mask and put it on multiply. So this is what starts to happen when you add too many layers, and it's why I don't use the shading process that I just used. There is a bit of delay on my stylus, and it's nothing crazy. It's just the project itself, depending on the settings that you have and the type of canvas that you have, being overloaded by so many layers. So that's why I try to minimize layers as much as possible for this exact reason. It's okay though, because we're almost done. Again, not super over the top details on this last part, because really don't need that much details for real. Oh, yeah. Cool. There's one last thing I'm gonna do before I finish off this piece. I'm just gonna go back to the shirt real quick and add some darker lines. Turn off the clipping mask. We're just gonna make this a bit darker, and we're just gonna go in and add some darker lines real quick. No, I need that darker than that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Alright. Last thing we always gotta do, make sure you always sign your work. Always sign your work. And with that, we have our flower boy. I will be making a shirt, stickers, and poster for Flower Boy on my website if you want to check it out and cop yourself some. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you comment, like, subscribe, follow the socials, repost. We're definitely trying to run this channel up. Make sure you go fuck with the other channel as well, where I do all my gaming and streams and stuff. I've not streamed Dispatch in a while. A lot of stuff going on in my life. That being said, videos are coming, so be patient. Appreciate the love and support. I love you very much. Have a blessed day.